What's up, you guys? Today is day 5 of the Bible reading plan in a year together. Again, the tagline of the week for this week is there's nothing too hard for God. So let's just keep moving forward, knowing that sometimes we have to step outside of our circumstances, outside of the uncertainty and into what we know is certain, into what we know is fact. And fact is that there's nothing too hard for God. So we got this, you guys. I feel more encouraged today. I'm excited on just doing this journey with you guys. The comments have been so encouraging and so motivating to keep going. And so just, thank you guys for joining me in this. We got this. So we're going to be in Genesis chapters 16 to 18. And today I'm going to be reading out of the NIV. I do have my glasses on because the print in this one is a little bit smaller. The pages are much smaller. I love this Bible, by the way. It's like a personal sized Bible. I got this Bible when I went to Point Loma Nazarene University for my bachelor's in child development. This is the Bible that they gave us because it's a Christian school. It's Christian based, or I believe that's what it is. Christian based. I know anyway. So everyone gets a Bible, and we actually like have to be in our Bible and all of that, which is really good. I feel like that school actually helped prepare me for like what God is calling me into, which is like, someone said a comment about how God is intentional. And it's so true because it's crazy how God works everything out for his kingdom, number one, but also like for you, he works it all out for those that he loves, for those that are doing his will. And I really do find that to be so true. Whatever God is calling you to do, he's training you. It might not feel like he's training you. It might not look like he's training you, but I truly believe that everything that he has called me to do, he trained me beforehand. Like if he is calling you to do something, you can do it. And believe it or not, like God is intentional. He is smart. He knows what he's doing. And I feel like he always trains us right before we do whatever we're going to do. Like we were already trained for it, just maybe not in the way that we think. But trust me, like right now you are being trained to do something that he is calling you to do. And so when he calls you, you are ready, believe it or not. All right, so let's just get right into it. We're in Genesis 16 through 18 again, and I am reading out of the NIV if you're following along. So 16 starts out with Hagar and Ishmael. And then, okay, so Hagar and Ishmael, let me just have a drink of coffee. Hold on. Sorry, not that that's going to calm me down or anything, but let's just go. Okay, so now Sarai. I was just looking up this name and I'm so sorry. I know this is like ridiculous. Now Sarai, okay, whatever. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her. Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, you are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me. Your slave is in your hands, Abram said. Do with her whatever you think best. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm like, ugh, I know I'm struggling right now. Okay. And then verse 6. Your slave is in your hands, Abram said. Do with her whatever you think is best. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai. Sarai, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, you are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. And then verse 12 says, he will be, oh gosh, it says he will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. She gave this name to the Lord. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. Wow, that's powerful. I have now seen the one who sees me. See, I want to look that up. So see, after this video is done, I will look all of those words up on this Bible. So I recently got this Bible. It is the Keyword Study Bible. This is the King James Version. It's red letter edition, and it's the Hebrew Greek. And so in this Bible, you can look up the words in from any translation just to dig in deeper. And because I am recording, I'm not going to do that now. But I think that just as we progress, as this train starts going, maybe we can do that together and just kind of just start looking up the words and really diving in deep. But we'll just see, you know, how it all goes and how you guys feel about it and what you guys think and all of that. But the main goal right now for these videos is to just read through the Bible, the whole, like, read through the entire Bible front to back within this year. But just note to myself is I'm kind of making a note that I will go look that up at least on my own time. And that's kind of how I studied the Bible. I'm sorry. I'm like looking for a highlighter. I normally take them out. Here we go. So I'm highlighting. I have now seen the one who sees me. That just stands out to me. So I'm highlighting that. And then again, then I'm going to just go look that up. So then it says, that is why the well was called Bir Lahoi Roy. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son that she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. And then we're in verse 17. Okay, cool. So this isn't too much. So as you guys can see, well, you can't, but I'll show you. This right here is chapter 17. So it's not too much for today. So it says, chapter 17, the covenant of circumcision. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. Then I will make my covenant between me and you will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, as for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham. Yay! Finally, their names are something easier I can pronounce. Thank you, Jesus. We are getting through. Okay. Sorry, I got too excited. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you. Ooh, see, I would look that up too. It says, for I have made you a father of many nations. So, okay, what was he? 86 years old or something? 90. He was 99 years old. So right now Hagar was pregnant, right, with Ishmael, but his wife Sarah, her name's going to change to Sarah. She is not pregnant yet, okay? And so, But God is saying, for I have made you a father of many nations. He is saying, I have made you a father of many nations. You guys, I have made you a father of many nations. His wife is not yet pregnant. But he's already saying, I have made you. I have done this. Like, it's already done. If God is calling you to do something, or he's putting a promise, this is speaking to me right now, because when God has given me the vision of my daughter being healed. And right now, like, we're going through all of this, right? She's still suffering. But if he has done it, it's set. We just have to get there. If he has done it already, if he has given you the vision, it's because it is already set. We just have to get there. We just have to get there. See, I would look that up too, and I'm not going to do it because I know that I'm taking so much time with this video, and I apologize, you guys, but this is making me so excited. Okay, so I'm highlighting that. I'm highlighting, for I have made you a father of many nations. And that's something I would go look up word for word as well, and just look up. I would also, if this was like in my own time, look up that phrase in other translations just to see if I'm missing something. So it says, I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant with an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you now reside as a foreigner, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, as for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for the generations to come. So it's like, this is what I'm going to do for you, but for you, you must keep my covenant. Okay, because I think sometimes you can think like, okay, these are the promises that God gave me, but it's not like without. I mean, like, he expects you to stay in his will. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. The way that I translate that for me is like, he expects me to be obedient, to remain obedient, to stay in his will. Like, even if things get hard and I can't like just go off like and live this worldly, crazy, wicked life. Like, I need to remain close in the will of God and obedient. And so he's saying, again, as for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you for the generations to come. Every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring, whether born in your household or bought with your money, they must be circumcised. So he's just like clarifying, everyone must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. And then it says on verse 15, it says, God also said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. Yay! I can say Sarah. Okay, verse 16, I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. That's important, you guys. Okay. So it says, this is verse 16, and I'm underlining this. It says, I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. Let's remember that. Now, again, if I was on my own time, I would go look up all of these words and look up this translation as well, and look up this scripture as well in other verses just to see if there's anything else that I'm missing. And so this is just the way that I do it when I'm in my own time. So by her, and then it says, I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of people will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. So he's like, I feel like the way that I translate that, he's like laughing and he's like, yeah, I don't know that this can happen, you know? And don't we do that with God sometimes? Like, he's like, hey, I'm going to do this. But then we're like in our own circumstances, in our own heads. And we're like, yeah, I don't know if this can happen. Like, lupus doesn't have a cure, right? Like, that this is what the doctors are saying, right? Like, did you see the blood results? Like, did you see this? Did you see that? Like, do you know this? Like, do you know that? Like, well, maybe what you're saying can't happen, but maybe this can happen. Maybe you can do it in this way. And we do that. We play that game with God. Like, we have that dialogue with God. And I'm learning, like, if he says it, like it is, and God knows us better than anything. He knows the situation better than anything. He knows the circumstance better than anything. If he's giving you the vision, if he's giving you the promise, if he is telling you that you are to do this or you are to do that, it's because he knows better. Like, he just knows better. And it's hard. It's hard to like keep that. It's hard to keep that when, our eyes are deceiving. I feel like our eyes are deceiving because we see things and then we think that it's as we see it, and it's not. It's not. Anyway, okay. So it says, so then remember, Abraham says, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. And then 19 says, then God said, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son. So he's clearly saying, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son. And it's important to know that, just because knowing what happens next. And it says, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. I feel like it's cool they at least got a time frame, like sometimes I'm like, Lord, can you tell me what my time frame is? Like, but anyways, I think that's pretty neat. And then on verse 22, it says, when he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him and told him, God went up from, God went up from him on that very day. Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household, or bought with his money, even every male in his household, and circumcised them as God told him. So do you see how it says on that very day? So Abraham didn't wait to be obedient. He's like, oh, well, let me schedule. God's telling me to do this. Let me schedule this for next week. Let me schedule this for a month from now. Let me schedule this next year. Whatever. I'll do this on the weekend. No, it says on that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those that were born, and then he was obedient on that very day. So make sure that, it speaks to me where if God is telling me to do something, do it on that day. Like, don't be like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And then, no, just do what God's telling you on that day, because how many times do we forget? Like, I've learned, like, I don't even like to make promises to God. And like, I don't like to do it because I'm like, and I've had this conversation with God where I'm like, God, this is what I'm going to try to do this week. Like, I'm going to try to like read my Bible in the morning and pray and do that for like an hour, and then try to do that again at nighttime. But I'm never like, God, I promise I'm going to do this, because I am I just fail when I try to make promises like that. And so I've actually told God, I'm going to try to do this, but I don't promise anything. And he's probably like, this child, but I also feel like he knows my heart's intention. He knows I'm trying. He knows when you're trying, but I have read somewhere like, don't make promises that you can't keep to God. And so I'm like very careful about not doing that. And so anyways, it says, Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Wow. That's interesting. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that very day, and every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. And you guys, that concludes chapters 17. Now we just have one more chapter, which is chapter 18. But I'm like, are we missing stuff? Sometimes I have to go back and like reconnect some dots. Okay, I see. Yeah. So yesterday we read about God's promise, the son of Abram. Okay, and so now we're in chapter 18. Where we're gonna read about Sodom and Gomorrah and the three visitors. We don't have that much more left, you guys. So chapter 18 is, oh yeah, it's pretty short. It's about, I mean, it's short, you guys. So it's this little section here, and then this little section and this little section. So it's very short. We can get through this. So, and it's getting interesting though, isn't it? I'm telling you, these stories are like more interesting than those romance novels, and it has like more twists and turns too. Sometimes I'm reading the Bible and I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, should I be reading this? Like someone's diary. Okay, so chapter 18, Sodom and Gomorrah, the three visitors. So it says 18. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, where he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way now that you have come to your servant." And so now we're moving on to, okay, so we're still in verse 5. It says, "Very well," they answered, "do as you say." And we're in verse 6. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs. Get 3 seahs." See, I would look that up. "Of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now, remember, the Lord told Abraham that in a year, Sarah was going to be pregnant, right? So I'm literally flipping backwards, and it says, "Who Sarah will bear to you by this time next year." Remember, God told Abraham this, and then now we're forward, and we're seeing that there's these three visitors. It looks like, and then they're confirming what God had said, and they're saying, then one of them said, and this is verse 10, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." What I love about that, and see, this is something I would highlight, and I am going to highlight this. What I love about this is that it's confirmation. It's confirming what God has already told Abraham. And what I love also about this is that sometimes God tells us things, gives us visions, or dreams, or however, God speaks to you. God speaks to us and tells us things, and then other people confirm it. You will have other people confirm it. I've had that happen to me where I've had a vision of myself doing something, and then someone that I've never shared the vision with, that doesn't know anything about it, will come to me and tell me, "Oh, I've seen you. I saw you doing this. You're going to be doing this and this and this." And that's confirmation. And I love that. And we see that in the Bible, how God will give you a word, will tell you something, and then someone else will come and confirm it. And I just love when God does that, because it tells me, like, okay, it wasn't in my head. Like, it's not just me. It's not me, thinking this up. It's not like my own internal desires. This is the will of God, And so I love how he just confirms things through other people. And so now it says, now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent. So she's like, let me see. Well, maybe not like that, but she was listening to the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, and she thought, Am I worn out? Wait, she laughed. Okay. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord, so again, she's like, wait, but these are my circumstances. And so, it's like, because a lot of times what God gives us, like, it's like, but it doesn't match my circumstances. Like, anybody there? I'm like, me, And so I love reading this. I love reading this and taking this in and being like, okay, like, I'm not the only one whose vision and what God says doesn't look like it matches my circumstances. I'm not the only one. And if he's done it then, if he's done it then, he can do it again. He could do it again for you. He could do it again for me. Like, this is why it's so good to be in your word. It's so encouraging. And like, as you're reading these stories of these people that were real, these stories that are real, their stories that speak to you. This is why it's so good to testify, to be a testimony, to speak out and share your testimony of what God has done in your life, because that will speak to other people. That will speak to other people in their circumstances, And so anyways, I'm loving this. Okay. So it says, so she's like, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? I love the Lord's questions. Like, why did Sarah laugh? Like, I don't know. Like, okay. Anyways, is anything too hard for the Lord? What? Okay, you guys, there's nothing too hard for God, right? That's like our thing. And so it's like, is there anything too hard for the Lord? And then it says, I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid. Yeah, she's afraid because, like, God heard her laughing. She's like, oh, like, my bad. You heard that? Like, how many times does God, like, hear our laugh or hear our doubt or hear our disbelief? And it's like, you better be afraid if you don't think God can do it. Okay. So it says, so Sarah was afraid. So she lied and said, I did not laugh. When do we lie and say, like, I did not doubt, I did not this, I did not that, like, I did not believe. So she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, wow. But he said, yes, you did laugh. That's what I'm saying. Like, just come like transparent, just come clean to God, like have an honest conversation with God, because he already knows. And so now we're in verse 16. It says, Abraham pleads for Sodom. It says, when the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide? Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham? What am I about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him, for I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Like, God is going to protect his children for his will to get done. Like, that's just the way it is. It says, then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin so grievous that I will go down and see what they have done. See what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I would spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke up again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people? If I find 45 there, he said, I will not destroy it. Once again, he spoke to him. What if only 40 are found there? He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there? Like, he's just like, he's like, please don't be mad, as I like continue to try to clarify this answer that I'm seeking, you know. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Abraham said, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there? He said, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of 10, I would not destroy it. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Okay, yay, we got through it, you guys. So that's chapter 18. Tomorrow we continue with chapter 19. Tomorrow is day 6 of our reading plan, and then that'll conclude the reading for this week. Thank you so much. You guys, don't forget to subscribe. Go subscribe. Share this with all of your friends so we can all do this together. And you guys can laugh at the ridiculous way that I'm pronouncing all of these names. But hopefully you get more than that. Hopefully you are enjoying this journey, diving into your Bible, and knowing that it's not just hard for you to understand and read. It's hard for other people too. So anyways, I love you guys. Bye.